Now, let's turn our attentions to Somalia, because the Prime Minister has said millions of pounds of British aid to the country should boost its security forces. But David Cameron says he also hopes that an international summit about Somalia, which is taking place in London today, can agree a long-term security plan for the country. Delegates from more than 50 countries and international organisations are taking part in this conference. Let's discuss what is needed, what the Prime Minister argues is needed. Let's discuss the whole issue with the BBC's Somalia analyst, Mary Harper. Hello, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
The scale of the problem is huge. First off, let's start with David Cameron. There are some in his own party who have issues about international aid, but he is making the case that there is much that can and should be done in Somalia.
Yes, and David Cameron would argue that aid is needed for Somalia, not just for the Somalis who suffered the first 21st century famine between 2010 and 2012, but also that Somalia has al-Qaeda-linked extremists on its territory. Some of them come from Britain and go back and blow themselves up as suicide bombers in Somalia. The fear of the British authorities is that they might come and do that in the UK. And then there's also the problem of piracy off the coast of Somalia that pushes our food prices up here because ships have to increase their insurance policy, and that means that people in Britain have to pay more for their oil, food and other supplies.
Yes, I mean, the issue of piracy is perhaps the main thing that a lot of British people frankly know about Somalia. You make the point, of course, that the Prime Minister focuses very much on the issue of extremism as well. The scale of the problem is huge, though, isn't it? Al-Shabaab, the terrorist group, is very, very powerful. What's the argument and the counter-argument for the amount of money that actually any country would need to put into Somalia to try to counter that?
Yes, you do wonder, with all these millions that have been pledged for Somalia today and previously by the British government, number one, how much of that money is going to end up in good hands? Previously, about 80% of aid money was siphoned off, stolen basically by the Somali authorities. So that's going to be a concern for the British public and other people. And also the government, the new government of Somalia, has more credibility than others, and the security situation has improved slightly, but much of the territory is still controlled by Al-Shabaab and other forces. So it is a bit of a black hole in terms of money and who it's actually eventually going to end up in whose pockets.
Yes, I mean, it's not just about Britain, is it? But am I right in saying that a lot of attempts to tackle this in the past have broadly been led by the African Union or funded by the African Union?
Yes, at the moment the Somali government depends for its security on African Union fighters. There are about 18,000 Ugandans, Burundians, Kenyans and other forces who are basically the people who are ensuring the security of the government in the small pockets of territory that it controls. But Britain has in the last couple of years sort of taken the international lead, at least in terms of Western powers, on Somalia, because the United States, which used to do that, proved disastrous in its foreign interventions in Somalia. So I think that it's been a bit more of an intelligent approach to have Britain taking the lead rather than the United States.
We will discuss this again, I'm sure. Thank you very much for now, Mary Harper. Thank you.